What is up, everybody? My name is Logan Strom. Welcome to CTF Strom Talks Football. Today we're going to be going over every NFL team, and I'm going to be giving you every single player on each team who is the most likely to get in the Hall of Fame right now. This topic has been on my mind for a couple weeks now, so I finally wanted to get this video out to you guys, and I think it'd be a very interesting one. Also, before we get started, huge thank you to you guys that have been giving me support throughout this whole week, because my mom has been basically healing from surgery. All the support you guys have been giving me, I absolutely appreciate it. She appreciates it. I love you guys. Thank you so much. I thank you so much for the support. Let's not waste any more time. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, turn on notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos whenever I post. With all out of the way, let's get started. Alright, we're going to be doing this tier list style because, for one, it's going to be a lot easier to look at, and two, some of these teams I really don't know yet. It's going to take a little bit of thinking. There's some that I know right away, and there's some I don't know. And starting off with the first team, this is already a hard one. We've got the Arizona Cardinals, and this is a very young team, but there's also tons of players that just aren't Hall of Fame status yet. If I had to give it to one player right now, I guess I would say Budda Baker, but like, there's just not anybody on this team that's like Hall of Fame status yet. There's a couple players that have a huge potential to, like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride. Maybe James Conner. No, that's a kind of a reach. But overall, hard team. I think Budda Baker's the best option. Up next, we've got the Atlanta Falcons. This one's also tough, but this one at the same time is a little bit easier. Kirk Cousins is no longer on the team as far as we know, so I would say Kirk, but like, he's probably not even going to be on the team. But so far, I'm going to say Jessie Bates just because he's had a hell of a career. I wouldn't say like first ballot Hall of Fame status. I would say he would probably get in there at some point in his career. But yeah, he's definitely a great player. I think he's their best candidate. I think Justin Simmons is a good one too, but I don't think he's there yet. Next, we've got the Baltimore Ravens. This is the first team here that we can say a lot of players here. First off, we've got Lamar. Then you've got Derrick Henry. You've got Mark Andrews. And on the defensive side, you've got Roquan Smith. Kyle Hamilton has huge potential. Marlon Humphrey even. Like, there's a lot of good players here, but I'm going to stick with Derrick Henry. Like, when he retires, he's going to be first ballot easy. I think he's the best option. Next, we've got the Buffalo Bills. There's only two players I can name here. One is a lot more obvious than the other. First, I got Dion Dawkins. He's a great left tackle. He's one of the best left tackles in the league, and I think if he keeps it up his career, he will make it in. And then the second one, that one might be pretty easy to some. It's Josh Allen. I think he'll make it in someday. Like, if he keeps up the way his career's been going, if he can get a ring, for God's sake, he will get in. Like, he's already got an MVP now, so if he can just get that ring, like, I think he'll make it in the Hall of Fame. I think it'll be a safe bet. Up next, we've got the Carolina Panthers, and I'm going to give it to Adam Thielen because there's no other options here. Like, the rest of this team is very young, and the rest of this team is just not there even close yet. The only one that they have is Adam Thielen, who had a very good career. I wouldn't say he had a Hall of Fame career. I think he could make it someday. But if we're talking like whole team, this is the best option. Up next, we've got the Chicago Bears. I would say Keenan Allen, but he has hit free agency. He's now a free agent. So I would say the next one up is DJ Moore. Like, there's really no one else to say here. Again, very young team, and then a lot of the players just are not at that status yet. Up next, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals, and it's the best two players on the team, literally. Ja'Marr Chase and Joe Burrow. Those two have the best shot to make it in. Especially after the years both of these players had. Best receiver in the game. Joe Burrow is top 3 quarterback in the game right now. If Joe Burrow can just get a Super Bowl ring and an MVP, I think he'll definitely make it in. I think if Ja'Marr Chase gets an Offensive Player of the Year award, he probably could make it in, as well as a couple more Pro Bowls. Like, these are the best two players in the game on the Bengals right now. I think they have the best shot. Up next, we've got the Cleveland Browns. I know he just requested a trade from this team, but he's still technically on the roster, so I'm going to give it to Myles Garrett. If he leaves this team, then let's just say Nick Chubb, just because he's the runner-up in my opinion. But right now, I would say Myles Garrett. He's still technically on the roster, so I think it's a very safe bet. One of the best defensive players in the league. Probably the best in the league at his position at defensive end. He's an absolute monster, and I think he will make it in. Up next, we've got the Dallas Cowboys. If there was a Hall of Fame for idiocy, Jerry Jones would definitely make it in, but it's not on the Hall of Fame of idiocy, so we're going to go on best player. And I would say the two best players I would give this to is either Micah Parsons or CeeDee Lamb. Both of these players have been playing out of their minds the last few seasons, and if they keep it up, they'll make it in, but this is kind of a tough team because a lot of these players are just not at that status yet. If we had to make a decision right now, CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons are the two easiest candidates, but right now, like, we're just not sure. Up next, we've got the Denver Broncos, and honestly, this one's pretty easy for me. It's Pat Surtain II. Like, he's an absolute stud. Best corner in the game by far, has been the best corner ever since he got drafted. Like, if he keeps playing the way he has been, he'll make it in for sure. Like, he'll be first ballot, no question. Up next, we've got the Detroit Lions, and looking at this team, this is the team that just basically screams a whole lot of potential because there's a lot of great players on this team, but are just not at Hall of Fame status yet. But I do think Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, even Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta, Aiden Hutchinson, all these players have a lot of potential to make the Hall of Fame Sunday. But if I had to make a decision right now, I still believe he's still on the roster. I'm going to give it to Za'Darius Smith. I don't think he is a Hall of Fame player yet, but the way he's been playing his career, like even in his prime, I think he could make it in Sunday. But there's a lot of players on this team that have potential but are just not Hall of Fame status yet. Just going through editing this video, I forgot to mention the stud offensive linemen the Detroit Lions have, like Penei Sewell, Frank Ragnow. Like, those are way better options than Za'Darius Smith. I would give it to Penei Sewell, honestly, so just keep that in mind. Up next, we've got the Green Bay Packers, and I would say David Bakhtiari, but he's no longer on the team. Like, I don't even know what happened to that guy. I think he's a free agent, but right now, I would probably say either Josh Jacobs or I think he's very overrated, but Jair Alexander. I think those are the two best options, but like, I've been saying this for about a couple teams now. Very young team, like, has a lot of potential, but just not there yet. But if I had to pick right now, Josh Jacobs, and even though I don't like the player, Jair Alexander. Next, we've got the Houston Texans. A lot of potential with this team as well. But if we have to make a decision right now, I would give it to Danielle Hunter. He's been elite his entire career with Minnesota and with Houston for his first season. I think he will be good for the next 3 seasons to come. But honestly, like, if I had to talk about future, I think we'll be talking about C.J. Stroud, Joe Mixon, Nico Collins, and Will Anderson for a while. So keep that in mind. Up next, we've got the Indianapolis Colts. That's pretty easy to me. Quinn Nelson, he's been one of the best offensive linemen in the league for a while. I think if he retired right now, he'd be an easy first ballot. He's been absolutely elite. Up next, we've got the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is not a good team to look at here. This is a very lackluster roster we've got here, but if I had to pick anybody, I would pick Josh Allen. Josh Hines Allen, I think, would be the better term. I guess that's his new name. I think he's the best player on their team and the best option, but overall, this is a pretty bad roster. Up next, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs. Do I have to put out the list? Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Creed Humphrey, Chris Jones. All these players have the chance to make the Hall of Fame. I think if Travis Kelce retired now, he'd be first ballot easy. Honestly, at this point, Mahomes would be first ballot easy. Even Chris Jones, Creed Humphrey would definitely be first ballot. Like, you can say any of these players. Up next, we've got the Las Vegas Raiders, and it's Max Crosby. Like, who else was it going to be? Like, Max Crosby's easily their best player. I mean, I know they have Brock Bowers, who's a stud, but come on, he just ended his rookie season. We're not going to say he's a Hall of Famer yet. But Max Crosby, I think if he retired, like, he would probably not make it in first ballot, but he would definitely make it in. I think he's a great player. Up next, we've got the Los Angeles Chargers, and most of these players will come from the defensive side of the ball. I would say either Derwin James or, this is the one I would go with, Khalil Mack. Like, he's the best player on their team. He's had a Hall of Fame career, in my opinion. Like, he's the best option. Next, we've got the LA Rams. Sadly, no more Aaron Donald. He's retired. So, I think right now, like, I know he's been ending his career kind of slow. I would say either Cooper Kupp or, honestly, it's going to be Matthew Stafford. What am I kidding? Like, stop talking about Cooper Kupp. It's Matthew Stafford. It's easy. Like, Matthew Stafford now has a ring. He's been elite his entire career. Even on the shitty Lions he's been playing for almost his whole career. He finally comes over to the LA Rams and he wins the Super Bowl. And he's been, I wouldn't say elite, but I would say he's been above average quarterback ever since. Like, he's never had a bad year. Like, he's been underwhelming at times, but he's always had a good career. I got a lot of respect for Matthew Stafford. Up next, we got the Miami Dolphins. I know he had a really shitty season this season, but it's Tyreek Hill. Like, it's gonna be no other option. Like, nobody's better than Tyreek Hill. He's just got to have a better season this season. But overall, if we're looking at his career, I think he'll be first ballot. He's a really damn good receiver. Up next, we've got the Minnesota Vikings. I think if this player retired right now, he'd be a first ballot for sure, and that player is Justin Jefferson. He's up there with one of the best Vikings receivers they've ever had. Like, he's in that Randy Moss, like, argument right now. Like, he's up there now. Like, I would still say Randy Moss is a better receiver, but he's getting very damn close. But if we're talking, like, right now, like, up-to-date rosters, yeah, Justin Jefferson would be in it easily. Up next, we've got the New England Patriots. This is the hardest one by far. There's nobody on this team I would say is Hall of Fame status right now. I guess Christian Gonzalez if I had to give an answer, but he's only played 2 seasons. Like, there's really no one to say here. Next, we've got the Saints, and I would say Cameron Jordan. He's been the most consistent player on this team for many, many years. I know Alvin Kamara and Demario Davis are good candidates, but I think Cameron Jordan would win it easily. I think if he retired, I wouldn't say he'd be first ballot, but he would make it in someday. I would be very confident on that. He's a damn good player. And he's been a Saint his whole career. Next, we've got the New York Giants. There's a lot of flaws on this team and definitely a lot of players that do not deserve Hall of Fame status yet. I will say one, and that is Dexter Lawrence. If he plays the rest of his career how he's been playing right now, he will make it in someday. I think Brian Burns is also a pretty decent option. But other than that, there's really no one to say. There's really nobody on that level yet. I think Malik Neighbors has a lot of potential, but he's not there yet. Up next, we've got the New York Jets. We can no longer say Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to be on this team. So I think right now, this is a very tough one. I would say either Garrett Wilson or I don't think Devontae Adams is on this team either. So I can't say Devontae. But I would say either Garrett Wilson or I think this player is so overrated, Sauce Gardner. This one's really hard. There's a lot of players on this team that are just not Hall of Fame status yet. There's a lot of players on this team that are talented and could make it in the future if they keep playing the way they are. But I don't know. This one's a tough one, but I would say either Garrett Wilson or Sauce Gardner. Next, we've got the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, and I think after this season, I think Saquon is the best option. He had a hell of a season, Hall of Fame season, and if you add that to the rest of his career, I think he is at Hall of Fame status now. Absolute elite player, one of the fastest, one of the strongest, one of the most shifty players in football right now. I think he will make it in first ballot. Up next, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's actually a lot of good options here. We've got Russell Wilson, who I think will make it in first ballot. We've got TJ Watt, who I also think will make it in first ballot. It's a battle between these two, but honestly, I would give it to Russell Wilson just because of his career. I think TJ Watt, if he keeps playing the way he is, he will make it first ballot easy. I even would say he would make it in first ballot if he retired today. But if we're just looking at the history, Russell Wilson will make it in. There's no way he doesn't. Next, we've got the San Francisco 49ers. There's a lot of good options here as well. We've got George Kittle. He'll definitely make it in first ballot. We've got Fred Warner, who will also make it in first ballot. But I would say the best option would be Trent Williams. He is arguably the best offensive tackle we will ever watch in football. He's one of the best offensive linemen of all time. And I think he will make it in first ballot easy. Next, we've got the Seattle Seahawks. There's a lot of players on this team that have potential but are just not there yet. But if I had to say a player right now, I would either say Leonard Williams or DK Metcalf. This is a very hard one. I don't think any of these players are Hall of Fame status yet, but if I had to give an answer right now, probably either Leonard Williams or DK Metcalf. Those are the best options. Not Hall of Fame status yet, but best options for now. Up next, we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that is Mike Evans. He will make it in, and he will make it in first ballot. He will get in easy. The people that are disagreeing me on this do not know football. He's been one of the most consistent wide receivers ever since he was a rookie. He has hit 1,000 or more receiving yards every single year of his career, and he has been one of the best receivers in football his entire career. He will make it in first ballot, and it's not even close. Up next, we've got the Tennessee Titans. Can I say nobody, for this one? If I had to give an answer, maybe Tony Pollard, maybe L'Jarius Sneed, but, those aren't even Hall of Fame players yet. Nobody on this team is Hall of Fame status. Nobody. And finally, we've got the Washington Commanders. There's a couple options here. I would say either Terry McLaurin or Zach Ertz. Or, honestly, Austin Eckler. He could be in there, too. I would say Zach Ertz is the most likely, but there's a couple players in there. I would not sleep on Terry McLaurin. Like, he's been very consistent his entire career. I know Austin Eckler's had a pretty bad couple seasons, but if you look at his career, he definitely could make the Hall of Fame someday. But if we're talking right now, I would say Zach Ertz. He's the best option. And there you guys have it. That was my list of every single NFL player from each team that has the most likely to make the Hall of Fame right now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down below on what your favorite NFL team is and what player on their team is the most likely to make the Hall of Fame in your opinion. I would like to know. In the meantime, that's where we're going to be done for the day. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos whenever I post. I'm Logan Sharon. I'll see you next time.